believe will happen over the next, 2 days, starting from today. My intention, subject to your being at peace with it, is that for the whole of today, we touch on financial economy, on the financial modeling. And what I'm going to be doing, my intention, the organizers of this course, they put together a very wonderful, presentation, which I'm going to be talking through. But in addition to that, I'm going to take you away from that very slightly, so that we look at some, practical situations and gain some very practical understanding of what financial modeling is all about. Financial modeling is not a new thing. It has always been there. It is what you do in your office every day. If I tell you, but it's so hard for people to believe. When they hear financial modeling, they think, oh, what is this now? Where is this concept, coming from? What is it all about? It's nothing new. It is what you do every day, and it can be anything. Financial modeling can be anything. It can be anything from, trying to forecast your sales, trying to forecast your profit, even trying to forecast your salary, or even trying to analyze your financial statement. Pick a set of financial statements, looking at your cash flow, your P&L, your balance sheet, and all the rest of it. So that's what financial modeling is all about. So we're going to be going through the, theory in a minute. Like I said, if you think I'm moving too far away, please feel free, hold me back. I want this class to be as interactive, as possible. I want us to talk to ourselves, as we go along. So I hope any question at this stage, anything you want to address at this stage before we move on?
No, it's just class rep is talking to you so that
like I said, I want interaction. I want all of us to be, talking. Okay. I don't want to be the only one talking here. Yeah. Because if I do that, that means I'm boring you, and that's one thing I hate to do. I want to carry you along with myself, so that if there's anything that is not sitting well with you, you let me know on time. We go back, we reframe.
Okay, I think so far so good. We are moving well. Since we have the privilege or listen to stop you, interrupt you at any point in time.
Yes, we can. Yeah. But the interruption should be done politely and
exactly. We will be looking around if you do so. One can raise his hand, his or her hand up to indicate the need to clarify.
Okay, so what we have on the slide there, that's our course overview. That's what we're going to be looking at over the next, couple of days. I think I'm going to take a substantial part of it for the next 2 days, and my colleague will come in here on day 3, to take you through the rest of the slides. And of course, I have my wonderful friend and colleague right by the corner, Petroleum. I'm sure you've gotten a taste of him already, so he's going to be giving you words, from time to time, especially when I think I need a cup of, a glass of water. Yeah. So we'll look at the fundamentals of modeling. And that, like I said, we'll try and do for the whole of today. And tomorrow we'll move into project economics with emphasis on oil and gas, on the petroleum industry. We'll look at the exploration and production investment analysis and decision making. Some of these things you may have seen them before, but it's good to come back here and crunch the numbers again. Refresh our memories and see how things work, in practical life. We'll look at how we measure probabilities and what are the techniques, for measuring performance in an oil and gas investment, arena. Then we'll look at the policies in Nigeria. We'll look at the new PIP. I think it has gotten to a stage now, from what I'm reading, that very soon, maybe within the next, before the end of the life of this administration, I'm not quite sure. We may have it signed. Yeah, I think it's gotten to that stage now. Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take them to study, but again, that's Nigeria. As a matter of fact, one of the new things that came on the 80 audit, on the deliverables this year, for 2012 audit, which is a new thing, like I said, is the fact that auditors across the world, especially in the western part of Africa, now have to disclose who are the beneficial interest owners in our oil blocks. All we've heard about before is whatever we've seen on the pages of newspapers, that this oil block is owned by somebody. I know somebody came out and said some time ago on the internet to the whole world that he made a profit of how many million dollars from the sale of an oil block, and he doesn't seem to know what to do with the money. So that's what we hear of. But that's one of the new concepts in the 80 audit. It's one of the new transparency, deliverable. that you must disclose who the beneficial owners are. Who owns what in Nigeria. I know this is a major concern in the country. People are complaining that so much persons, own so much and all the rest of that. I think very soon that's going to be a public information. So on the financial modeling, this is purely what we're going to be looking at. But just like I said, financial modeling has a concept. It involves everything. It involves everything you can think you can think of. I'm going to run through a couple of slides now. I'll come back to this in a minute because I want to take you through what we actually mean by financial modeling. Yeah. So, as I said, is anything you can think of, which you use in calculating, in forecasting, estimating numbers. That's all it is. This is what you do in your everyday life at work. Because someday will sit somewhere and say, okay, how much money do we need to provide for, to meet our training, cost, our training requirement for next year? That's modeling. It is, understanding the assumptions, putting the assumptions together. How many personnel have we got? How many of them are in engineering? How many of them are in IT department? How many of them are in sales and marketing and all the rest? Put all these numbers together, attach assumptions to them that, okay, out of these 10 persons in the engineering department, we expect that, okay, 8 of them by the end of this year would have qualified to be trained in Dubai or in America, in South Africa, and the rest of it, and attach numbers. And in the end, you want to be able to reasonably forecast what your numbers are. Just a quick, information on the genesis of financial modeling. When it was first, when the idea was first, generated, it was mostly used in the financial sector, especially in America. Within the financial sector of America, companies need to be able to estimate what the possible, price of their stocks will be by the end of quarter one, by the end of quarter two, by the end of quarter three, and all the rest. And in doing that, you need to have a lot of assumptions. Because the value of information, like we say, in the financial sector, especially in the stock market. Information only retains the value when it has not become public. Once information becomes public, then every interested shareholder knows that, okay, this company is going to be declaring $10 billion of dividend next month. So let me quickly go grab their shares. Because once that happens, the expectation is the share price will be, on the way up. So if the information that is available to everybody, then it's worthless. It's worthless because the moment it becomes available and everybody is looking for the information, looking for the shares to buy, the next thing that will happen is the forces of market resetting. Yeah, more people will now be looking for the share, and the more that happens, the more the price, be on the nosedive. So meaning that once the information becomes available, everything goes away. So this is one of the real concepts behind financial modeling in the financial sector. It's one of the reasons why they actually designed that modeling. And for that to happen, there has to be a serious set of mathematical calculations behind that. You know what that means. You need all the actuaries in the whole world. You need all the economists. You need all the accountants. You need all the all the stock brokers and all the rest of them. To crush the numbers, put values, attach indices, make assumptions, and in the end, determine what the likely price of the shares will be at the end of the first quarter, second quarter, and all the rest of it. And the more reason for that is this. Unlike other jurisdictions, in Europe, in America, what you find mostly in our part of the world, like Nigeria, is that Guinness will wait until the end of the year to get its accounts audited. When the accounts are audited, they declare the profit, the whole world knows, and of course all the shareholders will be informed, and at the end of that, dividend will be paid. And of course, that only happens once every year. In the developed world, it's not done that way. Auditors come in every quarter because every company, for example, in America, where they have partitioned stock markets, I call them, like in Nigeria, we've got how many stock exchanges? Maybe one or two. Or so, yeah, just one. Yeah. And all the shares traded in Nigeria are on that stock exchange. It's not done that way in America. America has partitioned its stock exchanges. And what that means is they have NASDAQ just to support technology sector. We won't find any other shares traded on NASDAQ other than shares of IT companies. Yeah. So meaning that the likes of Oracle, the Microsoft, which is the biggest, followed by Oracle, What they have to do is, at the end of every quarter, they need to bring in the Ernst and Young of this world. They need to bring in the PwC, they need to bring in the KPMG and all the rest of them. At the end of every quarter, to audit their numbers before they communicate that number to the market. Yeah, and one of the things they do as part of that audit process is to look at the assumptions, behind the growth forecast. Because you're going to tell the market anyway, even though we have made so much money. I'm sure when you open your television every day, when you look at Bloomberg, when you look at CNBC, the CNN, you see news, Google has played down on the profit forecast. Guinness has said, no, it's not going to make so much again, it's going to be making so much, and all the rest of it. This is all coming from financial modeling activities. People sitting behind, looking at where they are now. Okay, we have this customer now, we have this competitor, which is coming in. This competitor is going to be snatching this customer from us, meaning that our sales will go down, by next quarter. So somebody needs to put assumptions right, put the numbers, put the indices behind all of that, and reflect what that will translate to in terms of profit forecast and in terms of share price forecast. And this information needs to go to the market. And this is what the likes of all these multinational accounting firms have to do in jurisdictions like America, like in Europe, even in China and in Japan too. They've got very active stock markets in those locations. So that was the genesis of financial modeling. That was how it came to be. That was why they actually coined it out as a separate task. A lot of companies have dedicated teams doing all of this for them. In some cases, they call them FP&A, which is financial planning and analysis. I'm sure you have them in NGC, Nigerian Gas Company. Everything they do is around financial modeling because people are sitting down. If you look at just a little digression now before we move forward. If you look at the crisis they had in America, which brought about all the reforms we're experiencing today, in our financial market. The likes of Heron, companies like that, overnight they collapsed, for no reason. It took the whole world more than 12 months to find out why the likes of Heron collapsed. And of course, it took them several years before they actually brought people to book. Because some people were actually responsible for the collapse of all these organizations. Yeah. And one of the ways this happened was, every company or every organization has got a management team, headed by the CEO, or in some places they call them chairman, they call themselves different names. And they are responsible for managing the company. They're responsible for taking decisions that will impact on prices, decisions that will impact on how much wages you and I are paid as employees, decisions that will impact on how much they pay in rent, and how much compensation they give to their employees. Because one of the key attractives of working in an organization is to get bonus, one form of bonus or the other. If it's just a salary, then there's no motivation. There's no motivation at all. But we all want to earn something extra at the end of the year. And this brought about the concept of the stock option. You find all these companies saying, okay, our price presently is quoted at say 10 naira on the stock market. Okay, you as the MD of this company, we as the board want to encourage you. We are going to enter into a stock option arrangement with you. We allow you to buy these shares when the price reaches 15 naira. We allow you to buy it at 10 naira. It's currently traded at 10 naira. But we expect that in 6 months' time, the price should be 15 naira. But of course, if we tell you to wait until it gets to 15 naira before you buy, you probably won't be interested. But we'll tell you, okay, it's 10 naira today, 15 naira in 6 months' time, that's our target. We drive it to 15 naira. We will sell to you in 6 months' time at 10 naira, so that it made a profit, of 5 naira. And of course, what CEOs are doing then, what they were doing then, was to start tampering with the numbers. Tampering with the financial number. Yes, it's in such a manner that in the end, at the end of month 6, the share price will be worth 15 naira. I know what goes into all of that. There's so many things go into all of that. So many things. I'll talk about a few of them, as we go along in this class. So these compensation schemes, come in, they encourage businesses and companies, to implement them. And in the end, the businesses collapse. And it's one of the key reasons why it has taken the US to sign up to IFRS. IFRS, as we all know, is a global initiative. It's International Financial Reporting Standards. One of the reasons for the IFRS is to ensure comparability. The world has become a global village. We want the account of Xinjiang PLC in China to look exactly the same as that of Sabi Consult in Lagos, yeah, or that of NGC in Warri, or a South African mining company, or even one in London. That kind of comparability, so that if you're looking at set of financial statements, we want to be able to make decisions as investors. I don't need any explanation to tell me, okay, this fixed asset you've disclosed on your account, what exactly is in it? Because fixed asset in France will mean current asset in Belgium. It could mean intangible in Holland. It could mean something completely different in America. And I'll give you a good example, which is what most of you will know about. Goodwill, most of us are accountants.
Yes.
If you remember in your school days, you know what goodwill is. You want to buy a company, you start with how much you're paying for this company. Okay, the owners of the company want 1 million naira, right? Okay. But you go to the balance sheet, the most recent balance sheet, which is at the date of acquisition. Whatever time you decide to buy this company, you look at the balance sheet. Okay, the balance sheet, the net asset on this balance sheet is say 800,000. But the owners want me to pay 1 million because they are saying that, okay, we've been running this company for quite a good number of years now. We've built up the name. This company is known all over the world. We expect you to pay us some extra, some premium, which is a goodwill. Goodwill in this part of the world, and in about half the financial jurisdiction across the world is capitalized. It used to be capitalized. It will sit on your balance sheet as an intangible asset. It stays there forever. Until such a time you decide to sell the company. If you don't sell the company, it stays there. It's a crazy, crazy thing to do. Because you know the impact of that on your financials, on your numbers. But in countries like, say, France or Italy, there's no such thing. If you are buying a company, if you are paying 1 million for a company that is worth 800, the 200 goes straight to your income statement. There's no two way about that. It goes straight, it's written up immediately. You will never find goodwill on the financial statement of a French company. Go and look at Air France. Go and look at the Cousin. There's so many of them, so many French companies. Look at them, you'll never find anything as such, goodwill on the financial statement. So it's one of the key, issues that came up to cause the introduction of the IFRS, so that if you are treating this acquisition as goodwill in France or in the US, let it be so treated in China or in Lagos and all over the place. I don't want to delve too much into IFRS, so that I don't take us away from the main point. So this is one of the, so what the executives were doing then, they were paying themselves bonuses on account of falsified financial numbers. Yeah, a company that is probably making a loss, they trace the account in such a way that it shows a profit. At the end of the period, the target period, the share price has risen up. It's grown to wherever they want it to be, and on account of that, they pay themselves share bonus. And what that will be doing to the company was to erode the value of that company over time. It will take time, but sometime you realize that this company is gone. It's completely gone. Forget about the balance sheet. Yeah, because that's when you start having negative net assets. But they don't realize that until such a time. And that is why when America moved away from their former GAAP, the most popular US GAAP that we all know, when they moved away from that, what they will still call it GAAP, what they did was to make it a rule-based standard. As opposed to
Principles first.
yeah, as opposed to principles, and as opposed to a question of choice, where companies can sit and elect to treat an accounting transaction this way as opposed to the other way. In America, it has to be this way. There's no two way about it. Because if you don't treat it that way, it becomes a legal criminal issue. Yeah, you go to court because you don't have the liberty. Because what they were trying to do is to remove the flexibility that businesses have, to maltreat and to misrepresent their financial numbers. We'll talk about all of that as we go forward. So for sophisticated modules such as discounted cash flow, we all know what discounted cash flow is. We're going to be talking about that in detail tomorrow. You will need good accounting system, a good computer system to do all of that. And one of the best things that has happened to this world, especially we accountants, I say this because I'm an accountant, is Microsoft Excel. People don't realize that there's no other thing better than that has ever happened to us, because it has taken away all the burden. I tell people that you can fly an aeroplane with Excel if you know how to use it. I'm not talking about what we do with our plus and minus, that A plus B equals C. No, not at all. If you know how to do serious programming in Excel, all your headache will be gone. We remember during our school days, how long it will take us, to do a PV calculation. Those complex, very irritating calculations we have to do. You have them in Excel. Just plug in your number, set up your table. Everything is done. No need for any formula, no nothing. Everything is done automatically. So the best thing, that is why every program, every accounting software all over the world is premised, based on VBA. Which is the visual, basic for application, which is the programming language that Microsoft uses. That is where you do all your macros and all the rest of them. If you know that you have that skill, you have everything. And that is what financial modeling, requires. This is what I'm taking us to. You cannot do financial modeling unless you have good Excel, good Excel skill. There's no two way. There's no two way. In a way, you may even say, financial modeling is all about advanced Excel. In a way, you could say that. Because what we're going to be looking at today is financial modeling as it relates to financial statement. We look at the interrelationship and connectivity within various segments of a financial statement. We look at the balance sheet, we look at the P&L, which is the income statement, and of course, we look at the cash flow statement. So if you have good SSP, then everything is easy for you. Everything is easy. All you have to do is get your assumptions right. Once your assumptions are right, you're home and dry, you'll be flying. So I'll take us back to those previous slides so that we'll go through what we're going to be looking at very quickly. Yeah. So this is what we're going to be looking at. We look at the financial statement module area. We look at what that means in a minute. We look at the types. We look at the location. We look at the overview of our modeling. Then we look at the financial statement and all the links between them. If you sell one, I don't know how you measure gas. It's
standard to be.
Standard cubic, yeah. If you sell one standard cubic, of gas, how does that impact on your balance sheet? How does it impact on your cash flow? And all the we're going to be looking at all these, interrelationships. And it's good, as accountants, to sit back at our desk. And when you say that info is coming from the supplier, to know exactly how that's impacting. I'm sure you all see Nigerian gas company financial statement at the end of the year, one way or the other. I mean, if you can find out.
Some of them should be
if you can find out, you must see them. It's good for you to look at that balance sheet and say fixed asset and to say, okay, this fixed asset, I know how much of it, I've contributed in terms of calculation and workings. Because some people are behind all those numbers. And it's good for us to know, in our daily accounting operations, how all these efforts, are turning out to numbers that people are going to be relying on. Because that is the good thing about we accountants. We're the most wonderful set of people in any organization. I'm sorry to say this. I know we have non-accountants in our midst. Honestly, yeah.
He disagrees with us.
He disagrees. No, he cannot disagree.
Yeah. Because you see.
Okay, let him speak. Why are you disagreeing?
He's an economist.
And let him talk.
Yeah, usually we don't agree.
We don't agree.
Why you disagree?
Yeah.
No, I think he disagrees.
Well, if you disagree, tomorrow we'll transfer him to
No, I'm thinking to disagree.
You do that behind the camera, not the face of the camera.
Because I think if I look at that statement you made, that accountants are the most wonderful
In an organization, in a commercial environment.
Yes, I've met somebody and he's a lawyer. The lawyer will tell you that there are lots of professions in the world. That is law and others. But because I am looking at an organization from the point of view that I'm a leader, which means I have to be able to coordinate and unite all those different skill sets that I have for us to achieve the objectives of that organization. But by and large, you discover that the reason why all of us are gathered together in that organization is for us to have a P&L at the end of the day. Yes. And likely we want it to be a profit, not a loss. So if we consistently make losses, if I consistently make losses, that means all of us, everybody will find his way.
Is it an accountant that that does the things that that leads to the profitability of the company at the end of the day?
The answer is no. The answer is no.
They will tell you.
You didn't take into consideration what I said initially. I said my view as a leader of an organization is to unite all those different skill sets. Is it the engineers, is it the operations people, is it the planning, what have you, so that we achieve the single goal, the corporate strategy of that organization. Exactly. That is the reason. So it's not for me to say maybe that the lawyer is the only most important person or the this.
I'll tell you where the difference lies. You want to speak? Okay. You want to say something?
No.
Okay.
Contribute. Let it be contribution.
I'll tell you where the difference lies. You know, let's look at an engineering firm. Of course. Tell me what contribution is an accountant going to make to an engineering firm. You know, it cannot untie a boat. He cannot couple a machine. He can't do anything. He has got no skill whatsoever as far as engineering is concerned. But when the engineer is making mistake, he will tell you, call him to order. Look, that job you are doing, you know you charge the client 10 million naira. I bet it's going to cost us 15 million naira. And the guy will be shocked to say, you mean it? Yeah. And you are going to sit down and crush the numbers and prove to him why that is going to be the case. Then he will not realize that all this effort, all this while, have been useless. Because what is the essence of being in business? Profitability, that is the key word. Every company wants to make profit, unless it's an NGO. Yeah, and even for an NGO, you don't want to be in the red, you want to break even. Yeah, that's why all of them, they are all over the world looking for donations, looking for money. I'm sure all the aircraft to Dubai from Lagos, they must have, you know, distributed some envelopes to you, asking you to contribute money to people in Bangladesh. I don't know why we are not contributing for Nigeria. Yeah, because I think we need aid in Nigeria too.
No, what we need in Nigeria is this.
We need leadership.
We need leadership. I think
we need a good leadership. Because we have leaders.
But it's not only about leadership. The leadership, they are leading a set of people, group of people. We need to have a paradigm shift in Nigeria. You know, I tell people that what happens to some of these people is a disease. It's a virus. I don't see why I want to have all the food on that table, because I don't know what tomorrow is. This is because I'm not certain of tomorrow. Well, I read a book which says if I am traveling from here to, is it Al Sadiq or what do we call Salahuddin, you know, at night, my car can only see maybe about 100 meters or 200 meters ahead. That is a flashlight. So, but the fear that I don't know what is there will make me not to travel at night at all. But because I know that the flashlight will always, headlight will always unfold the reason. That is what life is all about. Life is not about, I have this one here, I gather that one, I listen. It's not bad for you to have wealth, but how were you able to acquire that? Until we have that paradigm shift, then it will become impossible for us to get to where we want to listen, to where we want to get to as a country or as a people.
That's a good point. I think you are very correct. And honestly, you know, if you throw this open on this floor, I bet we'll be here till tomorrow morning.
That is true.
Yeah, because there's no such person that is not passionate about that country. You know, there's no, because one way or the other you are affected. Even for people here, they have interest in what is going on in Nigeria. They want to know. You can look at the amount of resources going into Dubai every day. Yeah, every day. Because you need to ask yourself, I mean, why can't we have all these wonderful edifices in Nigeria? You know, why can't we have all this infrastructure? Why is Nigeria not here, the China of Africa? Why can't all the labor, you know, be shifted to Nigeria? Yeah. Why can't that happen? You know, that's a good question. It's because infrastructure, you know, decadence is still, you know, bedeviling us in that country. But if you go on and on, to be honest with you, we won't stop. Yeah. So we look at, you know, the impact of a modeling on income statement and, you know, balance sheet. We look at the relationship between them, all of them. We look at the cash flow. We're going to, you know, take us back to how, you know, cash flow statement is prepared. Just on this note, let me quickly draw, you know, one quick, you know, difference, you know, because usually from my previous experiences and classes, people take cash flow and cash budgets to be exactly the same thing, you know, and to be honest with you, in reality, sometimes we accountants, we use them interchangeably, and incorrectly so, because there are two different sets of documents, two different sets of information, and I'll tell you what the difference is, now in a minute. If you pick up any financial statement, you know, there are usually three major components. Forget about all the reports, all the lies the directors tell. You know, forget about all the lies that the auditors tell, that they've done this, they've done that, it's a lie. You know, they haven't done half of those things. Yeah. No, seriously. I used to be in audit, so I'm telling you, let's forget about all those lies. But the most important, you know, segments of the financial statement is the balance sheet, you know, the income statement, and then the cash flow statement. Incidentally, balance sheet appears to be the only, you know, statement in the financial statement that has not changed name. with IFRS, with this, with all of that, they pretend the word balance sheet. Every other one of them, we used to call P&L. Consider P&L, you know. Yes, you know, they've changed the name over and over again, but balance sheet it has not changed because the purpose has not changed. Even though the arrangement has changed, they've changed the way it is arranged. They've changed the nomenclature of items on the balance sheet. You know, we used to have fixed assets. You won't find anything as such now. They call them non-current assets now. You know, IFRS is going to bring in new dimension to all of that. IFRS is radicalizing the way we do things. You know, some jurisdictions across the world are imposing IFRS on us. But IFRS is not new. It has always been there. South Africa has always been an IAS country. Nigeria has always been an IAS country. Yeah, that's why, yeah, even though we have our local SAS, they are mapped after IAS. Yeah, it's a replica of the international accounting standard. Yeah. And that's what you find. And that's why the project, IFRS project in Nigeria, is relatively easy because it's a very difficult project to do, to be honest with you. To move from point A to point B is an extremely difficult task. That's why most companies will engage experts to help them, especially in translating, in making the conversion from what it was up to now, and then providing the necessary training and skills for your finance personnel to be able to manage your financial statement going forward on the basis of IFRS. Such a very, very difficult thing. But I don't want to go into that.